It was a warm but breezy Saturday morning when two groups of young children were taken to go out for their very first golfing lessons. But this wasn't just any golfing lesson. You see, it was a scientific experiment. And these two groups of children were comprised of just two races. They were Asian American and African American mixed together. And they were going to receive golfing lessons for the next 4 weeks. Each group was going to have a different instructor. And their instructor was going to give them a rundown, a pep talk about the history of golf and what the game of golf is all about. And they were going to be taught how to improve the game over the 4 weeks. And the message they were going to receive was identical, except for one very important element. Group A was told that golf was a game of intellect and strategy. Group B was told that golf was a game of athleticism and fitness. After the 4 weeks were up, the children in each group were assessed on their golfing ability by an independent adjudicator. And here's what we discovered. Of the children in Group A, the group that was told that golf was a game of intellect and strategy, the Asian children far outperformed on average the black children in the group. In the Group B, where they were told that golf was a game of athleticism and fitness, the black American children far outperformed the Asian American children on average as well. So why is this so fascinating? Well, it's fascinating for two reasons. First of all, it shows us clearly that self-identity, that is how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive the thing that we're trying to accomplish in relation to us, plays a massive role in the outcomes that we receive. The second interesting thing was that Asian American children, Black American children, African American children perceive themselves in different ways. The Asian American children on the whole perceive themselves as being more intellectual, where the African American children on average perceive themselves to be more athletic. Now, this isn't about the objectivity of those statements, it's just a perception they have because of our society. Now guys, I hope you've been enjoying this video so far. If you have, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you've been enjoying my videos for quite some time now, I really suggest you check out the links below to have a one-on-one video session with me, because I can get really deep with you into the psychology of what's happening behind the scenes in these sessions. A lot of guys, they are self-sacrificing. They will destroy themselves, their limiting beliefs that they have going on in their heads. And through a couple of sessions together, we can really undo a lot of those knots and change the way, the dynamic you have with women for the rest of your life. If you're interested in doing that with me, again, go ahead and try the link below. So why am I telling you about this interesting little experiment? Well, because you need to understand what a massive role your self-perception, along with the perception of the thing that you're trying to accomplish, in this case, dating, can play, right? Your perception of what women want, your perception of what you believe women are going to find attractive in relation to how you identify yourself is massive when it comes to the result that you're going to get. See, in modern day, there is so many negative messages being given to young men. Young women as well, but this video is specifically for men. It's being given to you, telling you if you're not over 6 foot, you're stuffed. If you're not rich, you're stuffed. If you're not white, you're stuffed, right? It's telling you all these things, that women need these things or you're nothing on the dating market. When I grew up learning this stuff, I grew up believing in my core, because there was no one telling me any different, that women liked charming guys, that women liked intellect, that women liked guys who could make them laugh. And so I focused on those skills. I'm 5'8", my hair is thinning, right? I focused on those skills. I didn't think about the other stuff because no one was reinforcing it to me every single day online. And sure enough, I did well. I did better than well. Things were great for me because that's what I believed. I believed in relation. These were things that I could accomplish. I was a smart guy, so I can be smart. I can have intellectual conversation. I can learn to make women laugh. These are all things that I can learn to do. So hell yeah, I can be interesting and attractive to women. But if I had have received the message every single day that women don't date guys under 6 foot, that women don't date guys who are still living with their parents, which I was in my mid-20s while I was learning this stuff, if I had believed that, I would have been self-conscious about these things. And how do you think my dating outcomes would have been? Now, I know a lot of you guys watching right now are saying, but Damien, there's statistics out there everywhere telling you they can clearly show that women prefer guys who are over 6 foot and guys who are rich. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying the stats are real. I'm not saying it's a lie. I'm not trying to be a blue pill shill or whatever it is that I sometimes get accused of. But the reality is that our perception is really what matters, right? Our self-perception. Let me give an example. Let me flip the script and talk about women for a second. Overweight women do not get a good shake in society. Yes, I know there's a lot of positivity work being done right now for women who are overweight. Maybe let's go back 10 years, right? Being overweight for women was a thing that society made them feel bad about. Also being older, right? So if you're a single woman over 30, over 35, over 40, gasp, right? That wasn't considered a great thing on the dating market. We're trying to improve it, but still by and large, it's not. How do you think that feels for a woman? I'm not talking about morbidly obese here. I'm just talking about like overweight. It doesn't feel good. It never felt good. I mean, men weren't worried about their height so much 10, 15 years ago, but women were certainly worried about their weight 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? These things still mattered. So it's got a long cultural history inside of us. And yet, I'm willing to bet that you have all known women who were a little bit overweight, but still felt sexy, still felt like something about them. They had a spark. They had they felt like a woman. There's something, that was attractive about them. I'm sure you've had that experience, and I've had that experience, and all men have had that experience. And we've all known women who are overweight and feel bad about themselves, and the dating outcomes are poor because they feel bad, so they don't go for opportunities. They're not proactive in their dating. They accept crap from men they shouldn't. They date men who treat them badly, but they think that's all they can get and deserve. And I know there are slim women who do this as well, but this is just a symptom of low self-esteem. And women who are overweight are more likely to have a low self-esteem. And so yes, we see it. We know those women. But we've all known the opposite too. Women who are overweight and yet are still attractive and still sexy. And this is self-perception thing. And you'll often find that the women who have these traits, in other words, they're overweight or they're older and still feel sexy, they often come from a slightly different cultural background. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, have you ever noticed that the women who manage to feel sexy inside of themselves are more likely to be Latino or Black if they're overweight or older as well, especially with Latina women? I noticed that with Latina women who are older still feel sexy and act sexy. It's a funny thing in the Western society, we really knock the self-perception of sexiness out of women as they get older, whereas Latin women in their culture are allowed to maintain that. It's a real interesting thing. It's it's a whole thing I could do a whole chat about, right? But I've noticed that every time I go over there, the older women will still be playful with me, like hey, this is a man in the room, right? Whereas here, it's like they've muted themselves and they're sexless. It's something that culture does with women's self-identity. But you must have witnessed that before, because we know that, yes, men prefer women who are younger. Men prefer women who aren't so overweight. Yes, we know that. The statistics are clear. But there are plenty of women out there breaking that trend, just like there can be plenty of men breaking the trend, because the self-perception is really critical. Because, yes, it's easier if you can be tall. Yes, it's easier if you can be rich, but you don't need those things. And if you rely on that data to tell yourself how you should see yourself or what women really want, then you are never going to get results. And that's going to be sad and it's going to be lonely. And look, we've all heard this before, that people who are depressed, people who have negative outlooks on their life, people who suffer with anxiety, they are all the most accurate assessors of other people's opinions of them, as well as the outcomes, the likely outcomes of the tasks that they set out to achieve. So they're much more accurate, they're more realistic, they're more accurate. Okay, fine. But they are also far less successful in life in everything they set out to attain than their positive, less realistic counterparts. And this is this really frustrating thing, because a lot of the guys I work with, you're really intelligent people, you're smart, you're well above average. And that works against you because you work on logic, and logic is important. I work on logic too. But you work so heavily on it that you see the stats and you go, well, there's no point, right? Like it's a lottery. It's not a freaking lottery. It's like business. What is it? Half of businesses go out of business. New businesses go out of business in a year. And they're like, the stats go down, like in 5 years' time, there's only 10% left. That's terrible odds to take. Why invest your life in starting a business? Well, I would do it because I'm me, because I'm gambling on me, not the average human being. Right? I can do better than the average human being, so I'm going to bet on me. We can't just rely on those stats because they're not You get to decide, you get to work on yourself. When they look at the average guy who's 6 foot versus the average guy who's 5'8", yes, average. Don't be average. Work on yourself. Be above average in all the other things, right? Because that's how you compete in a world where not everything is fair. Okay, but this video isn't meant to be doom and gloom and me having a go at you. I want to give you an outcome here. There are 2 things you need to do. If you find yourself stuck with this mindset of women won't date guys like me, right? I've got these strengths, but women don't want them. If you're stuck in that world, which I know many of you are, there's 2 things you have to do. 1, you've got to cut out the negative social media. I mean it. I have a lot of dating success behind me. You'd think I'm super confident, but if I watch too much of that negative stuff, talking about women won't date guys like this, women hate guys like this kind of guy gives women the ick. Ugh, I hate that. But anyway, those kind of videos, I'll get drained, I'll get worn out, I'll get tired. I'll start to doubt myself a little bit. I get a little bit of a voice in my head. I can't help it because I'm getting that constant negative reinforcement. You gotta cut that out completely. Okay, on the flip side, the second thing you have to do is you need positive reinforcement. Consistent, regular for a good period of time. So this is what you have to do. You have to go out and you have to buy a clicker. I'll put you a link down below. I'll put a picture up here on the screen. One of those clickers that they used to use in clubs. I don't know if they still use them. Get one of those, and every single day for a month, it is your job to find examples of men who buck the trend that you believe about women's dating patterns. So if you're like me and you're 5'8" or 5'9" or 5'7" or 5'6", whatever it is, what you're going to do is you're going to take that clicker and you're going to go out, and every single day you have to click it 10 times for each example you find of a guy who's your height or shorter with a woman dating. Every time, click, click. Oh, look, there's the husband and wife with kids and he's under 5'8". Click, right? So I don't care if you have to go to the grocery store every day for a month and just walk around, right? And just get those clicks off. You need to get those clicks, those 10 clicks a day. And if you do that for a month, that's 300 independent moments of positive reinforcement spread out over a month. And your brain will start to change the way it self-identifies as well as the way it judges what other women are going to like. And that's how you begin to enact a change. Now, I know that I've talked about this stuff with you guys in the past. It's a big one. It's a doozy. And I hope that by delivering the message in different ways, it sinks in, that you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So go ahead. I want to really recommend this challenge to you guys. Now, you may notice that I'm in a different location. That's because right now I'm in Las Vegas about to run some boot camps. And if you're watching, you're one of my students in my boot camps, your ass is mine in just a couple of days. Guys, if you love this video, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And I look forward to seeing you in the future.